supposedly 1 in 3 kids under the age of 18 are in some form of a synthetic relationship online with someone who's a friend, a potential erotic partner. And I worried, Dave, that it reduces, especially young men's mojo to take the risks to approach people and express platonic and romantic interest while making them feel safe. And those skills, that rejection. So you're a good-looking guy, so you've endured less rejection than most of us, but you have endured rejection.
I'm on Twitter. People say terrible things about me. It's okay.
But that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's approaching someone you're attracted to and shooting your shot. It's sending in a resume or pitching an advertiser who, quite frankly, is out of your economic weight class. And those skills, that willingness to endure rejection as opposed to deferring to a frictionless relationship, is sequestering people, especially young men, and not giving them the life skills they need: perseverance, how to open, how to talk to people, how to sell. And most importantly, the key skill in success, I believe, is the ability to endure rejection, to mourn and to move on, to develop those calluses. 45% of men ages 18 to 25 have never approached a woman in person to ask her out. I think that's really unhealthy.
All right, I'm Dave Rubin, and joining me today is the host of the Prof G podcast and author of the new book, Note on Being a Man, Scott Galloway. Welcome back to the Rubin Report.
Hey, Dave, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you. I've seen a bunch of you this morning because as we are taping this right now, we just played a whole bunch of your clips from Friday's Real Time with Bill Maher. And you had a couple things that I just want to dive right into that are obviously directly related to the book and some of the things you've been talking about sort of economically, but also on the social side of things. One of the lines you said that I really liked as it relates to what's going on with young men right now is basically that they've become asocial and asexual. Can you elaborate that on for just a bit?
Sure. So again, it's great to be with you again. So if you think about the most powerful, deepest pocketed companies in the world, most resources, most human capital, godlike technology, it's the 10 companies in the S&P now that are responsible for 40% of the value of the S&P, and 20% of global market cap is just in 10 companies. And those 10 companies do a lot of things, but primarily their job is every incremental minute from your day they can get you from doing something else, whether it's time with family, exercising, driving your kids to school, whatever it might be. They literally add $20 to $60 billion in market cap, probably more than that. Every incremental minute, these firms can leverage AI, incendiary content, cute dogs, basically tapping into your need or the desire to have constant dopa hits, and especially amongst young men whose less mature prefrontal cortex is very susceptible to that type of temptation. They make tens of billions. And so unwittingly, what they're effectively doing, the most powerful companies in the world, are slowly but surely sequestering people, especially young men, from spending time at work, school, church, or other relationships. And I think, as I'd said on the show, we're effectively have this huge economic incentive to evolve a new species of asocial, asexual male. And I took that line from Esther Perel, but I think we're going to start seeing fewer and fewer young men out in the wild. Right now, a scary stat, men aged 20 to 30 are spending less time outdoors than prison inmates. So it's already happening.
So the question that I posed when I heard you say that on the show this morning was, how much of this do you think is purely intentional and business driven by those companies that you mentioned, that dozen or so companies, versus that all of this is just a reflection of our habits? This is actually some sense what we want, whether we know it or not, that the algorithm in some sense knows what we're demanding more than what we say we actually want. Maybe those two things are combined also in some sense.
It is. So I want to acknowledge the point, but what I think happens is, so when we came off the savannah thousands of years ago, there was an absence of mating opportunities, an absence of salty, sugary, fatty food, an absence of free play that wasn't dangerous, because it was a dangerous place to exist. And because our instincts haven't caught up to institutional production, when we can now produce calories faster than more than we'd ever need, we gorge. And now 70% of Americans are overweight or obese. We are addicted or easily addicted to porn because a reasonable facsimile of a sexual experience is very exciting for men because while 80% of women have reproduced throughout history, only 40% of men. So when you have institutional production of what feels like a procreation opportunity, it's hard or it takes some discipline to modulate. And so wanting dopa, which it purposely goes into your brain for good reasons. When you start to eat food, you get a dopa hit. When someone touches you, when you're about to have sex, when you're thinking about something interesting or exciting, or you have visual stimulation, dopa, dopa, dopa. Now that dopa is on institutional supply, we have problems, especially a less mature male brain, we have problems regulating. And so you're right, it's what we've been trained to want. But at some point, wanting to salty, sugary, and fatty foods, those wants vastly exceed the needs. And so to the most profitable companies in the world, unfortunately, are tapping into this basic thing where our instincts have not caught up to institutional production. It used to be the industrial food complex, shitty food that's high margin. Now it's tech companies tapping into rage, affirmation, mating opportunities, but the constant dopa of fun, gaming. I don't know if your kids are on video games yet, but their brain literally gets rewired, Dave. So this is, we have this dopa machine that is unfortunately tied our economy to sequestering us from our relationships. And you're right, we want it, but we're not able to modulate it, and you're up against an indomitable foe. I don't know, even AI,
right?
Those little prompts at the end, you just say, "What did Scott say on Bill Maher?" Dave, would you, okay, and they'll tell you, and they'll say, "Dave, can I write it up in a series of questions for your podcast?" Dave, would you like some data? I mean, before you know it, you're 2 hours in with these prompts that have been tested a million times to just keep you glued to your goddamn phone.
Right. It's like the guy who created endless scrolling who now regrets it. In our day, the internet ended. You go to CNN.com and scroll down enough and they'd say, that's all the news we got. Now, of course, it endlessly scrolls and just feeds us more and more. Interestingly, you asked me about my kids. So my kids are only 3, so they're not on any of that yet. And we're quite good about TV. But I notice even if they're watching Bluey, which is pretty low stimulation, if I ask them something while they're watching Bluey, they pretty much don't respond. And I have to stand right in front of them and get that attention back. So if you forget a 3-year-old, you hand a 9-year-old this thing and then say, okay, you're going to also have to interact with the real world, you can see why it's a failure. So do you think that there was any way to not get to the point with technology that we are at right now? Is there anything we could have done, or was this inevitably going to happen?
So typically it takes us about 20 years to figure out when a flaw in the instincts is resulting in a profit motive is creating externalities or damage in the public commons. So it took us 30 years with tobacco. Like, that is a physical addiction. You can get physically addicted to nicotine. And because there was a profit motive, people were willing to stand up in front of Congress and lie and say, I do not believe that nicotine is addictive. But we figured it out, started regulating it, taxing it, and I don't want to say I figured it out. It's caused huge damage, but we've addressed it. It took us about 20 years with opiates to realize that wanting to be out of pain, and then that was addictive, and it took us about 20 years. I think it's taken us about 20 years with the smartphone, and that is, there is hope. My colleague at NYU, Jonathan Haidt, who I think is the most consequential scholar in the world, my guess is phones will not be allowed in your kid's school by the time they start school. So we are slowly but surely figuring out. What I think we need to do next is be more proactive. I think we should make it illegal for anyone under the age of 18 to be in a synthetic relationship. And that is develop a relationship with a character AI that starts advising them. Supposedly 1 in 3 kids under the age of 18 are in some form of a synthetic relationship online with someone as a friend, a potential erotic partner. And I worry, Dave, that it reduces, especially young men's mojo to take the risks to approach people and express platonic and romantic interest while making them feel safe. And those skills, that rejection. So you're a good-looking guy, so you've endured less rejection than most of us, but you have endured rejection.
I'm on Twitter. People say terrible things about me. It's okay.
But that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's approaching someone you're attracted to and shooting your shot. It's sending in a resume or pitching an advertiser who, quite frankly, is out of your economic weight class. And those skills, that willingness to endure rejection as opposed to deferring to a frictionless relationship, is sequestering people, especially young men, and not giving them the life skills they need. perseverance, how to open, how to talk to people, how to sell. And most importantly, the key skill in success, I believe, is the ability to endure rejection, to mourn and to move on, to develop those calluses. 45% of men ages 18 to 25 have never approached a woman in person to ask her out. I think that's really unhealthy. And a lot of these men, young men, have gotten mixed messages. No man wants to be the creep.
Right.
I read a story about a guy who approached a woman at a bar, didn't go well. He was inartful and elegant. And then he finds out she works at JP Morgan and she complains about him. And so guys have gotten mixed messages. They have a competitor to life that makes us less mammalia. And I think ultimately over time, these people become very anxious and depressed. If you want to see an orca go crazy, stick it in a tank alone. The worst thing you can do to a human is solitary confinement. I don't know if you have pets, but leave your dog alone and see what happens. So I really worry that we've attached our economy and trillions of dollars in market cap to, again, sequestering young men from what they need most, and that is other relationships.
If you're looking to listen to more brainy and brutally honest conversations about academia, check out our academia playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a wide variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist, all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and tap that notification bell.